Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And welcome to the Weird Science Comics channel here on YouTube, where we have some news. It's more of a bit of commentary, maybe, a editorial, a little grind my gears type deal. And before we go into this, I want to tell you this is about Tom King, Jay Lee, Comicsgate, all these sort of things. And I do not consider myself part of either group. The Comicsgate controversy, where I kind of lie, is in the middle. I see some points from both sides. But what I end up feeling like through all of these arguments, when this does get heated and everybody's yelling at each other, is like a kid sitting at a dinner table while their parents are arguing. That's kind of, I'm invested in comics. I love comics. And then I have my two parents arguing back and forth, and it just does make me sad. So that is just a little bit to tell you where I am on the whole deal. So this isn't necessarily going to be a Comicsgate type video. I am not going to center on the idea that Tom King is calling them a hate group. What I'm going to center on is that Tom King shows that he is not a decent human being. That's the bottom line of all this to me, because he ended up tweeting out on Friday, the 24th, "Today, DC put out an alternate cover to Rorschach by Jay Lee, who has also done covers for Comicsgate, a hate group. DC does not consult creators on alternate covers. I reached out to them to express my deep disappointment. Far as I'm concerned, this is the cover to Rorschach #1. Now, the problem I have with this is it does say hate group, and it does have Jay Lee's name on it. You are putting Jay Lee's name into a tweet that has hate group. So there's Jay Lee, a veteran in the comic book industry. He has been in comics since 1991. When Tom King was 12, Jay Lee was breaking into comics. He's been in comics almost 30 years. Now, as this whole thing unfolds, you see that Tom King didn't even check in with things, that what he was doing looked to be virtue signaling. He ended up more concerned about getting a hold of people about what Jay Lee might be or might be doing, instead of talking to Jay Lee himself or actually looking into it, because all this stemmed from a tweet that DC had released at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. on Friday. They released the tweet, "Lift Dumbbells, Get Strong, Rorschach #1 variant by Jay Lee," out 10/13. So there is the variant. Again, that's at 9 a.m. Well, you end up having this whole deal where somebody must have gotten a hold of Tom King, said, "Hey, by the way, Jay Lee's done some things with, he's doing a variant cover for Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog 2, Wrecked Planet. This isn't good. He's part of a hate group." And then Tom King seemingly went with it. But again, the timeline, 9 a.m., this tweet comes out. At 1:07, Tom King tweets this and says, "I reached out to DC to express my deep disappointment." So he, you could kind of read between lines, but he did reach out to somebody. He reached out to DC and said, "I don't want this variant. I'm disappointed with this. I didn't get consulted. Nobody told me. This is ridiculous." So he's done the work that he shouldn't have done. He should have gotten a hold of Jay Lee, or at least somebody who knew something more than, "Oh, that guy did the Cyberfrog." I mean, this guy is a veteran. You need to give him at least that courtesy before you say a tweet with his name and hate group in it. It's ridiculous. Now, he's saying that he didn't know anything about this variant cover. The problem is July 15th, 9 days before all this fiasco, there's the press release for Rorschach #1. And it mentions there's a variant cover by Jay Lee. Now, again, did Tom King look into this? Did he care? Did he know? It's that somebody got a hold of him when the actual cover was released. Now, some people are insinuating that he waited till the cover so that it would have more of a push, that he can go. And yeah, I do think that what he did was jump the gun to virtue signal. He wanted his fans to think that he's a great guy for stepping up and saying, "I'm not going to deal with this stuff." But he did not look into it. You cannot throw hate group in with somebody without looking into it more and not talking to that guy. So yeah, you end up where eventually he does say, I spoke with Jay. He's not on Twitter, didn't know Comicsgate existed, and doesn't support hate of any kind. We're all good. Best possible outcome. That is at 7:21, 6 hours after the original tweet. The original tweet, 1:07. 6 hours later, he comes back with this. He does finally get a hold of Jay Lee. Everything's fine. But where is the apology? Where is he saying, I should not have said those things? And I'm not saying apologize to Comicsgate. I'm saying apologize to Jay Lee, even if he's not on Twitter. Show that you feel bad for slandering this man for 6 hours and more, because he never took down that original tweet. That tweet, as I'm recording it now on Saturday afternoon, is still up. It's still getting retweeted. It's still getting, like, people are still reacting to it of, oh, I didn't know Jay Lee was part of that. I'm never buying a Jay Lee thing again. Now you're affecting a man's career because you went off, on your own. You end up rooting, tooting Tom King, just claiming things and not looking into them. So this isn't good enough. You just saying it's all good. Best possible outcome. The best possible outcome is slandering a guy for 6 hours before you come and put this little tweet out that isn't an apology. Then you have Mitch Gerads an hour later to say, yeah, if people only knew what you went through today to make the discussion, why didn't it happen before? Mitch Gerads is such an asshole. He thinks that we should feel bad for Tom King for slandering a guy for all that time because it took a long time to get a hold of Jay Lee. It should have been that before the tweet. You end up, this is nonsense. Both of them now just went down. I'm not a Tom King fan. I don't like his writing. I'll tell you that right now. I like Mitch Gerads' art. I don't like him as a person now. I don't like Tom King as a person now because of what they have shown. You end up seeing somebody's true colors when things go wrong. When things are going great, everything's great. You can all be a great guy. Well, you see this where Tom King ends up doing something that it's pretty awful to another creator, another human being. And the line down the deal of what he's done just shows you that he is not a decent human being. At least in this situation, but what other situation you have? This is nonsense. And Mitch Gerads saying, oh man, if they only knew. I mean, you had to get on 3 calls and then talk to a guy. Oh my goodness. And really, it took you all that time because it was tough. It was tough. Now there's Jay Lee, who doesn't have a Twitter account, so he can't respond. He can't go on social media and do this. It's something he's just not into, I guess. So you're the guy who now, after finding out you were wrong, you need to be his voice as well by saying not just best possible outcome. You got to say, hey, I'm sorry. I should have looked into this. This isn't something that I take lightly. I'm very sorry. I won't do this again. I've learned my lesson. You could make it a learning and teaching lesson for everybody, especially with this whole Comicsgate deal and everybody, because what you're doing is showing people now it's become the 6 degrees of Comicsgate now. You're going down the line of who you're going to end up canceling and things like that and all this stuff. And it's nonsense. It has to stop. It has to be at least look into things. At least get the facts first. If you want to be on one side or the other, that's fine. That's up to anybody. But you need to get the facts. You need to figure things out and find out what is really going on before you go off half-cocked and end up saying things where you, again, attach a veteran creator to the word hate group in a tweet that remains separated from your half non-apology and will still end up plaguing this man, even if it's 3 covers that aren't bought. This guy makes his living now making covers pretty much. If those covers aren't bought because somebody thinks he's a part of a hate group and that goes down, people will stop hiring him to do covers because, oh, Jay Lee, his time's come and gone. No, his time's come and gone because you went off half-cocked and ended up not looking into things and then having a non-apology. It's nonsense. It's complete and utter nonsense. And just, please, if anything, I don't think Tom King's going to watch it if he does, but please, you're a jerk. And take down that tweet. Take down the original tweet. Even if you say, well, I want to point out you're not pointing out anything. You just keep attaching them to hate groups. So put another tweet. Hey, I'm going to delete that original tweet. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this, all this. But he is ending up, pretty much by not saying anything, really. He's making the stance that you can just go off and accuse people of something and then give a non-apology and everything's fine. Best possible outcome. Go screw yourself. It's nonsense. But hey, there you go. But yeah, again, I'm not part of either side. So I feel like I'm caught in the middle. It's when stuff like this happens that it goes beyond a fight in comics. This is just being a decent human being. But that's that. That's it. Hey, everybody, that's the news. Woo-wee. And yeah, if you like this, please like it below. Follow the channel by subscribing to it. Look at the links below to find all sorts of links to the Weird Science podcast websites. We have Marvel and DC podcast websites, all that sort of thing. And also we have a Patreon account that you can go and get a lot of other shows as well. But thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.